Welcome to podcast number 12 of our AI-generated news summary. Let's dive into the summaries of our top stories. Our next story is titled, Peter Todd was unmasked as Bitcoin creator Satoshi Nakamoto. Now he's in hiding. Peter Todd has repeatedly and categorically denied that he created Bitcoin. The trove of Bitcoin Satoshi is widely believed to have controlled is suspected to be worth many billions of dollars today. Todd has not been proven outright to be Satoshi, but he knows a denial alone is not enough to convince the world he is not. He provided Wired with images of himself participating in outdoors activities, like skiing and spelunking. The case for Len Sassaman was first outlined by Evan Hatch, founder of crypto gaming platform Worlds. Todd rejects the claims as ridiculous, and says he would have abandoned the account if he had done it by accident. But in his youth lies the reason for anonymity and pretense. Hoback claims perhaps it was because they wanted to be known as Satoshi, he says of Todd and others who have been unmasked as Satoshi before. I think the idea that it puts their life at risk is a little overblown. Our next story is titled, Peter Todd is in hiding after a documentary named him as Bitcoin's creator. HBO documentary named Peter Todd as Satoshi, the anonymous creator of Bitcoin. Todd, who was the main character of the documentary, denied he was Satoshi and has told several reporters since that the accusation has endangered his life. Todd was around and participating in crypto forums at the time of Bitcoin's creation. Todd says he expects this is just the way it is going to be for the rest of his life and that he will continue to be Satoshi. The documentary director is obviously deflecting away from the fact that he himself is Satoshi. Oshi was posting about the cryptocurrency on the forum Bitcoin Talk. Todd told Wired it was impossible for him to have posted as Satoshi at the time because he was on vacation. The series is set to premiere in 2015. The Warner Brothers streamer has beefed up its horror selection in the name of spooky season. Eric Council Jr. is accused of helping to hack the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission's X account. Kyle Chandler will also star in the series. Our next story is titled, In the Kentucky Mountains, a Bitcoin mining dream becomes the stuff of nightmares. VED is just one in a series of fights between Chinese companies and the owners of industrial facilities in the rural U.S. They claim to have been saddled with unpaid hosting fees, and a ban on crypto mining in China had left businesses casting about for a new home for their many millions of dollars worth of mining equipment. There are few financial recovery options for companies like Mohawk and Biofuel. The situation is made more difficult, as in the Mohawk case, if they are dealing with so-called special if the Kentucky facility owners win out in court. It could be difficult to collect any damages awarded if the opposing party refuses to pay up and has no U.S. assets to collect against. Sometimes Smith has given up on the idea of recovering the full amount he claims to be owed. I hope every day that maybe some big company will come along and take over, says Smith. The haste with which these hosting relationships came together, in the name of striking while Bitcoin was hot, set many of the partnerships up for failure. Our next story is titled, Legendary investor Paul Tudor Jones says he's buying gold and Bitcoin pre-election because inflation will rise under both Trump and Harris. Paul Tudor Jones is holding gold, Bitcoin, and other currencies to hedge against inflation. Neither of the presidential candidates has a plan suitable for tackling U.S. debt. He said, both Trump and Kamala Harris are least suited for the job ahead of them, Jones said. The Congressional Budget Office projects that the debt ratio will reach 122% of GDP by 2034. Bond vigilantes had already made a scene last year over this by rejecting U.S. debt. The Treasury market won't tolerate it, Jones says. Our next story is titled, Stock Market Today. Indexes slide and yields rise as rate cut outlook dims. U.S. stocks headed for second losing session in a row. Major indexes slumping Tuesday morning amid a rise in bond yields. Rise indicates that traders have pared back hopes for a steep easing cycle. Here's where U.S. indexes stood at the 9:30 a.m. opening bell on Tuesday. Here's what else happened today in commodities, bonds, and crypto. Our next story is titled, The SEC Greenlit Bitcoin ETF Options Trading. Here come the big fish. The Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, has granted approval for the NYSE American LLC and CBOE to list options on spot Bitcoin exchange-traded funds, ETFs. This approval paves the way for institutional investors, or big fish, to gain greater access to Bitcoin through more traditional financial products. The move will increase Bitcoin's adaptability among investors. Since U.S. Bitcoin ETF's debut in January 2024, they have accumulated over $21 billion in total net flows. By comparison, it took gold ETFs around 5 years to reach the same level of net inflows. The approval for option trading for spot Bitcoin ETFs will provide institutional investors and traders with an alternative way to hedge their exposure to Bitcoin. Adding option trading will further increase Bitcoin's adaptability. The SEC has yet to announce a date for the launch of the option trading on the spot Bitcoin exchange-traded funds, ETFs, in the United States. For confidential support, call the Samaritans on 08457 909090. Visit a local Samaritans branch or click here for details. Our next story is titled, Dogecoin, ApeCoin, Solana, and more. Cryptocurrencies to watch this week. ApeCoin is trading at $1.59, a 110% growth since last week. ApeCoin gives holders voting rights on key decisions within the Ape ecosystem. Jupiter is a decentralized cryptocurrency exchange platform built on the Solana blockchain. Recently, Jupiter announced a staking rewards program for its active users. Users who participate in staking will receive token rewards. The crypto market is currently bullish, with growing anticipation around when Bitcoin will surpass the $70,000 mark. Let's take a closer look at the cryptocurrencies that are poised to make significant moves this week and see what they are up to. Back to Mail Online Home. Back into the page you came from. Back to the page you came from. Back to the page you came from and see how you can get your hands on some of the most popular cryptocurrencies from around the world. The most popular currencies from across the world are Bitcoin, Ether, Litecoin, Zcash, Bitcoin Cash, Dash and Litecoin Cash. Our next story is titled, Experts Challenge ECB's Claims on Bitcoin and Wealth Inequality. The European Central Bank's recent working paper, The Distributional Consequences of Bitcoin, has been met with strong pushback. Dr. Murray Rudd, science advisor at Satoshi Action Fund, stressed the importance of refuting the ECB's conclusions. The ECB argues that Bitcoin is a tool for wealth concentration. This argument fails to account for the increasing participation of retail investors. Many of the largest wallets belong to exchanges holding assets on behalf of millions of users, rather than a few wealthy individuals. Promoting CBDCs can be seen as another facet of Chokepoint 2.0. Central banks aim to maintain control over the financial system. Bitcoin's independence from state control appears to be at the heart of the debate. This independence is not a flaw but a feature that could provide financial sovereignty in a world increasingly dominated by centralized control. User accounts will be blocked if we notice or believe that users are engaged in "I'm a power user" or "I can do whatever I want." Our next story is titled, The Crypto Industry is Heavily Favoring Republicans in Its 2024 Election Spending. Crypto companies are poised to allocate $21 million more in ad spending for the GOP than for the Democratic Party. Vice President Kamala Harris has called for stronger regulatory oversight of the crypto market. Since January 1, Fairshake, along with its affiliated political action committees, has spent a total of $54.6 million on election ads. The growing engagement from both ends of the political spectrum underscores how crypto has become a contentious and pivotal issue in the 2024 election. The Fairshake PAC secured an additional $800,000 in funding from Consensus Software, Inc., a blockchain development firm. The PAC is affiliated with the crypto sector and has raised more than $20 million in the last 2 years. The party of the Republican Party is expected to win the election by a margin of more than 10 million votes. According to a recent CNN poll, the Democratic Party is projected to win by more than 7 million votes and the Libertarian Party by over 8 million. The Republican Party has a lead over the Democrats in the race for the 2024 presidential election. That concludes our AI-generated news summary for today. Thanks for listening, and stay tuned for our next episode.